Savage.
He wants you back, Dex. He's calling you back for the state of Florida, my guy.
Yeah, the sanity's coming back this way, and it's safe for kids. I got 3 kids in school. And,
Real talk, no filter on Savaged, Unfiltered. Savaged.
Hey guys, what is going on? What is going on, guys? We got a great show for you today. Really great show for you. We're gonna get into some of the rhetoric, some of the background towards this possibly the Biden administration wanting to replace the 4th of July, known as Independence Day, to Juneteenth. Got a lot to talk about that, as well as Joseph here on the show. Joseph M. Leonard, known as Jokester Joe here. We call him here on Savage Unfiltered. Before we get into that, guys, I do want to thank you for coming on into the stream here on X, that we are doing a live stream here on X, Twitter X. So thank you very much for jumping in. Our phone lines will be coming in shortly, guys. So if you do want to call into the show to leave your comments or your views or your thoughts, guys, please reach out to us. As that been presented in the MAGA movement, including other types of communities. So we do have an open call in to the show. If you'd like to discuss anything, guys, 407-663-2853, guys. That is the official call-in number here to Savage Unfiltered. Other than that, guys, thank you. Honored to have anyone joining us here on X. Means a lot. I hope everyone enjoyed the X Space, guys, that we did last weekend. Special guest speaker, Pedro Israel Orta, former CIA intelligence officer, with myself, Joe, and Kimmy, co-hosting that space, guys. Tremendous stuff that we got into with some of Pedro's background with the CIA, some of his experiences, his career with that, and some of the backlash that he received from some of his colleagues that he worked alongside there with. He brought in Mark Meadows with some of the commentating towards that, and many others, guys. Why he was released from the CIA. The guy's going through hell. He still is. 5 years later, he's still, trying to press against this. But without further ado, guys, welcome to the show. I see Joe here in there. Hey, how you doing, Joe? Welcome, buddy.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Had to turn the headset on. Wasn't sure the microphone was working. You could see the shirt is kind of acting up because of the green screen. But anyway, speaking of shirts, I love the blue striped polo. You look like you're broadcasting from the 19th hole at Mar-a-Lago, like you just stepped off the golf course. Yeah. How many birdies you shoot today?
I just look. There's about a few of them up in the tree that I just smacked up there. So they're just sitting up there in the branches. Tweet, tweet. Go to tweet. Yeah. Tweet, tweet. I'm sitting in the tree and. Oh, man, I just butchered the hell out of that song.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm talking about.
Rockin' Robin song.
Rockin' Robin, yeah. You notice I got a little tan, too. I actually was on the golf course recently. See all my nice little tan? Yeah.
Very
brown.
Have a little color to you. Yeah. Welcome to the Savaged Golf Elitist Show.
Right. Yeah, I got my my Nike type of apparel, right? I'm ready to go with Tiger Woods, on the 9th hole or the 18th hole, Come on, Tiger. I'm coming right behind you, pal. Right down here in Palm Beach, for the next Palm Beach International. No.
Well, he hasn't been involved.
Golf, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I was just getting ready to make that joke. Tiger Woods isn't in any tournaments of lately because he shoots like Savage does on the golf cart. He's falling apart.
Oh, he is. He's. Oh my God, terrible. Like the ghost from Christmas. What is it? Scrooge. I always like referencing that movies. Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel. It's like, that's what he reminds me of. The teardrops coming down, right? But yeah, on to today's show. Before we get into the main topic, the main soup du jour of today's program, Joe, what did you think of the last Savage Underground X Space with Pedro?
Well, of course, having been on the show when Pedro's been on, I knew the story, so I was anxious to get into other things, but it was important, of course, for him to go through the story that he went through on Savage Unfiltered when you and I spoke with him before, for people who hadn't heard the story. But I was anxious and was happy that we got into some other things in the space after that.
Yeah, I was happy too. And, hat tip to Tucker Carlson. I noticed that was viewing us in secrecy mode there in the X Space. Next time, come in, Tucker. I know. I know celebrities like that, big and famous, Joe, they want to stay in, the secret mode and everything. And I mean, I applaud them for doing that because sometimes they don't want the backlash and this and that. But Tucker's a big guy. And the reason why I'm mentioning Tucker, guys, is Pedro was on that show with Tucker Carlson last week.
You're working at CIA during the Trump election. What was the view of that within the CIA? What do people think of Trump at CIA?
Well, what I found interesting was every government building usually has the picture of the president, the vice president. In this particular case, I don't know how many months it took them to eventually put the picture of the president and the vice president up on the wall, as if they didn't even want to recognize him as the president or the vice president. I mean, it got so bad in one of my offices that one of the leaders actually spoke out and said, look, we have to respect the chain of command. If you find yourself mentally distressed because Trump won the presidency, go seek some psychological help.
You guys could check out the actual interview with Pedro Israel Orta with Tucker Carlson on the Tucker Carlson show on Pedro's account there. And also you can go over to Tucker Carlson's main X page and you could see the snippets, clips, and full-blown interview. Got into a lot of what he got into on this past weekends with Savage Underground. But back to the show,
Yeah, he was slumming it with Tucker last week. And then, of course, the big grand finale was coming into our space. Just kidding, Tucker. Just kidding.
Yeah. God forbid. Tucker, don't hit the block button on Savage, please,
I expect Tucker has a sense of humor. And if he doesn't, fuck him.
Hey, Tucker, Joseph going unfiltered here.
Hi, Tucker. Just having some fun at your expense. I know. Hey, he's a big boy. He could take it.
I noticed how we had one speaker that grabbed a mic on this past weekend, silent, and he wasn't drilling Pedro with the questioning, but I like Silent because he's a thinker. So many. I say this over and over. I don't wear the Republican hat as a partisan hack. There are snowflakes on the right also. They've got their feelings and, you can agree with them. And here's the reasons why people should agree with us, but they'll get bent out of shape because it's like, what? You expect me to have evidence and facts and logic and reasons for why I feel the way I do? But he openly put something out there in the ether that he was thinking, he was playing with, he was toying with, and when some rebuttal came back, he didn't react emotionally and get all bent out of shape. He thought about it some more, and what it was like polling. He
was saying, maybe we should fine people like Obamacare did, find you if you didn't have health insurance, which is illegal, and we eliminated the mandate. We need to unravel all of Obamacare still. No thanks to John McClain for blocking that. But he floated the idea, maybe we should fine people if they don't vote to get more people to vote. And my response was, well, one, that's a form of a poll tax. You can't tax someone to vote. You can't fine them if they don't vote. And more importantly, there are enough uninformed morons already that vote. Do we really want to encourage more people who have no clue whatsoever what is going on to force them to vote, who will then vote stupidly? And after I said that, he said, oh, yeah, obviously. That's common sense. Yes, we don't want to force people who don't know anything that's going on, who will go into the booth and go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, hey, that name sounds cool. No, we don't need that. And he
but
agreed.
I was glad that he brought in the questions. Yeah, and I'm glad he agreed too. Yeah, but but
it showed he's a thinker. He's willing to think it through.
Yeah, he is a thinker.
He wasn't married to some feeling and get all defensive about it.
He was an emotional snowflake.
Michael, Savage.
And I'm glad he was, because we had
Spotify.
really speakers towards the end of that, guys. And speaking of Savage Underground, guys, for those who are just jumping in with these X Spaces, what was brought to my attention by Kimmy, a big supporter of MAGA and a big supporter of other things. Kimmy brought to my attention, I think it was you too, Joe, that we should start recording these spaces, right? Put it in record mode so that way we can get people to come back, to listen to the playback, which I think is important. Yeah, Yeah,
Kimmy, again, I since my main Jay Leonard Detroit account that had 250,000 followers on it is still locked out. I'm on my Jay Leonard author, which was really was created by my publisher, only really ever meant to promote my books. It doesn't have a big following right now. Openly. And I haven't spent much time on Twitter because they suspended my main account. I spend most of my time on 12 other social media platforms.
He's out there, guys. I mean, he's on more platforms than I am. Yeah.
So I don't get into the spaces thing like you do. You keep trying to drag me in, and I'm happy to co-host.
Joe, let me ask you a question.
But I'm not
fun?
Involved in those other ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
did you have
I
fun?
did.
No. I mean, I think you had fun. Joe was a co-host on Savage Underground this past weekend, which I'm going to try to get him on again next Saturday, which I think you did say you'll be available, right, Joe? I hope so. This is on the air now. You got to make a commitment.
I'm willing to be involved with some of your, not all. Again, I'm just not interested in spending so much time on Twitter as others are. And again, it's partially personal. Again, 250,000 followers. I'm still locked out of that account. So why?
Yeah.
And let me defend Elon here. It's not his fault. I'm a former IT guy. The AI still controls most of Twitter. Until they have a complete bottom-up rewrite of the code, there's going to still be problems at Twitter. It's not Elon's fault. The AI was coded by the leftist fools. There are still a lot of landmines, a lot of traps, a lot of things that it's going to take a long time. And frankly, you're never going to clean up all that code. That's why they need to patch while holes here and there as they can. But ultimately, in the meantime, At the same time, they need to be building bottom-up, complete new code, free speech oriented, that can replace in order for X to really be what it can be and could be, and we all think it should be. But it's leaps and bounds better than what it was.
Oh, yeah. And guys, before we continue the conversation here that Joe and I are talking about, we're going to get into a little bit of Juneteenth and 4th of July here in a moment. I do want to say thank you to one of the sponsors here on the show, MeUndies. That's right. I think it's Joe's favorite underwear. At MeUndies, they don't give you the jock itch. They don't give you the rub around the waistline right on. What I mean by the rub is, guys, you ever notice sometimes you wear like a pair of like Hanes or, other types of big name underwear, and you get that sensation mark, around your waistline. It's that red little rash. It's quite it's uncomfortable, really. I'm trying to look for the words there because I get it sometimes. Well, not now because I do wear MeUndies. So thank you very much, MeUndies, for providing that zero irritation. And I'm not going to show you down there, even though this is an unfiltered show. We are somewhat on X right now, and I'm not going to show you my waistline because it might accidentally show you my private area, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to piss people off. Oh my God, Savage is showing his private parts. No. I'm not Howard Stern. I'm not going into that whole 90s type of genre. But at MeUndies, guys, like a lot of their models say, it does not tug or tuck the pussy. Which they
no.
Yeah.
The actual, I know we need to show that ad again. I love that. It is hilarious. Right. It doesn't pinch the pussy. And it doesn't pressure the penis either. We got to have a male version of that ad.
Yeah, we do, guys. So join MeUndies, grab yourself a pair of MeUndies, scan the QR code, and check out their amazing products there at MeUndies. I love them. I can't say more than enough. MeUndies. I need more. Keep on sending me the boxes. They keep on sending me boxes, and I love it. I love how they do it. Also, too, guys, I do want to put up another amazing QR code for those who are viewing us here on Rumble or maybe X or Vimeo. At Bucked Up, guys, another great sponsor here on Savage Unfiltered. At Bucked Up, their mission is to provide their customers with the highest quality of supplements. So if you're at that gym and you're trying to get that last workout or that last set or rep in, make sure you put the little Buck Up powder inside the actual shaker, right? And shake it up, right? And get that last set in. Oh, see what I just did? When I get too close, guys. So join Bucked Up, guys. Scan the QR code today and tell them Savage over here at Savage Unfiltered sent you. Amazing products. So, Joe, I want to get into this.
First, clearly karaoke day again. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing karaoke through the whole show. Now you did the old Rockin' Robin tune. Now you're doing the Cars Shake It Up and
shake it up. You notice what he does there, ladies and gentlemen. See, when I'm ready to go into the next segment or the next segue, he's like he ties it back some way. He's like, no.
Call back.
Not done talking.
Call back.
I'm not done talking, Savage. Let me talk now. No, okay. But are you done, Joe? Can we get to the next segment?
Juneteenth. Yes, I'm roaring to go on that. Oh, believe me, I've been riled up since yesterday when you said we were going to talk about that today.
Yeah. See, I can joke around with Joe. See, he gets it. I've known Joe now digitally for like over 2 years. And what I mean by digitally is, I've met him, through the network here like 2 years ago. We've had that, on-air chemistry. So we could joke. He doesn't get triggered. I don't get triggered. I don't have to say, fucking asshole.
Right. He doesn't get upset when I say he looks like a homeless guy with that beard.
I do. I look like maybe Al Qaeda a little bit. No, that's terrible, Joe. What the hell are you talking? I do have to shave this, and the reason why I have to shave down here underneath the chin is because guys, I'm in my mid 40s, right? And even with my mid 40s, I still can't grow thick facial hair. I can grow thick hair, on the top of my head, but the facial hair like this, it'll take like about 2 months just to get to this part. I don't know.
Don't let him fool you. Pretty soon he's going to be as bald as I am.
Oh, God, I hope not. I surely hope not.
This was not by choice. I had cancer in 2010. It came out, so I decided to keep it shaved. I'm not a neo-Nazi skinhead. You know, somebody on Twitter will be, oh my God, he's a neo-Nazi skinhead on Savage and Unfiltered. Oh, you fucking morons. You know, no,
you know how
came out due to chemotherapy, so I keep it shaved. And boy, I love saving a ton of money not spending on shampoo and conditioner.
Oh, yeah, you never know. But yeah, I mean, guys, I want to get into which Savage Unfiltered we love to joke and put puns in. You know, it's all about having fun sometimes instead of, you know, being so damn serious. Like, you know, Heath Ledger would say, "Why so serious?" But,
great movie reference. Unlike the Spinal Tap reference I made the other day that, like, what? I didn't see that movie, so he didn't get the "this goes to 11" reference that I made the other day.
Yeah. Check out that episode. Joe and I had some fun on that one. Glitches, puns, and dark humor. Oh, God. Yeah. But, Joe, what do you think about this Juneteenth? You know, I put a poll out, guys, on my Twitter X account. You know, it's still pinned up there on the top on, you know, possibly, you know, with this Biden administration, because I've heard, you know, somewhat of talks coming out of the Biden administration and leading into that through maybe possibly Congress passing it with making Juneteenth a holiday over Independence Day, July 4th. Like, after all these years with Independence Day, all these years of celebrating it with family, friends, and honoring people that fought and died for our nation, especially veterans, because that's what Independence Day means for me. Maybe it does. Maybe it means something different for you folks out there. Okay. But what it means for me is that when every July 4th comes up, we celebrate our independence, right? We celebrate our independence as a nation, as an independent country, right? Not aligned with any other nation in this world. Sure, we are aligned with partnership and through allyship and stuff like that, but that's a little different. What I'm talking about is a nation that is independent, a nation that resembles everything behind it, freedoms, liberties, all that great stuff that we call the United States of America. And when I see these people on the internet, and I'm going to get a little fired up, guys, okay? It's not a character. It's not a persona. It's not fake. It's real. When I see people that say, well, Independence Day should be celebrated differently. We should look as Juneteenth as the real America's Independence Day, because that was the day that Black Americans were free and slavery ended in the late 1800s. Joe, thoughts on that? Hold that thought, Joe. Hold that thought, Joe. I was gonna say, hold that thought. Okay, what I want to put in there is we should not eliminate Juneteenth. Okay, we should honor it to an extent, but we should not replace Independence Day with Juneteenth.
It is not lost on me, you know, you planned this months ago, but, you know, it is not lost on me that in this moment right now, as we're talking about independence and freedoms, that we're also experiencing some losses of independence and freedoms for certain groups right now. And, you know, whatever your thought about it is, the reality is someone is affected. Black person's freedoms were affected. You know, when July 4th came around, and, you know, it's not a done deal. And we know that something that's written, you know, in stone doesn't mean that it doesn't get blasted off. And so I hope that as we've had this conversation tonight in the midst, or if you watch it later, and in the midst of what's happening in our country right now, the greatest country in the world, where some feel like we're losing freedoms and we're going backwards. And some like, well, that's fine. That's what we want. I mean, there's always going to be push and pull. And I think I'm not encouraging anyone to not engage in the push and pull. But I want to say is engage in thoughtful and meaningful conversation and to be able to understand where another
Michael
person-
Gardner, uncut, raw, and savaged.
Yeah, first and foremost, who really freed the slaves? Abolitionist Republicans. And yes, some Democrats then, not to make it but who passed the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments? Republicans did. Democrats opposed it. I want to talk about LBJ in a minute, but we mentioned a couple movies. So before I forget, I want to mention one here. Every Christmas, of course, like most, I watch It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street and that. But unlike a lot of Americans, because this attacking the 4th of July isn't new. Younger people don't know that, not their fault. They just don't have the life experience yet to know it. And every 4th of July, I watch a film from either Zucker or Zemeckis or both. The guy behind Airplane, a movie with Leslie Nielsen in it, also like Airplane. It's meant to be a comedy, or it is a comedy, but it has very serious points like this in it. And it's kind of a lighthearted play on A Christmas Carol, a left-wing loon trying to eliminate the 4th of July. So this isn't new. He spoofed it like 25 years ago, this film is now. An American Carol. If you've not seen it, you can find it on YouTube for free. You really need to see An American Carol. And it's about this leftist loon trying to eliminate the 4th of July, visited by 3 patriotic spirits to show him the error of his ways. So yeah, the left has been attacking Independence Day for decades now. And it's just ramping up. But I mentioned LBJ because Juneteenth has been a Republican thing for ages. Like the NAACP was founded by Republicans, taken over, hijacked, and extorted and co-opted now by the left. And what is the NAACP that is supposedly for the advancement of color people do? They fund Planned Slaughterhood that kills disproportionately more black babies than any other. How does killing black babies advance color people? But again, this is another co-opt. As a Republican, I've been involved in Juneteenth events for decades. It's an unofficial Republican holiday forever. And like LBJ, the Civil Rights Act was created by Republicans during Eisenhower, and the left, the fascocrats, filibustered it and blocked it until LBJ became president. So LBJ could claim credit for it, even though it was a Republican bill, passed the House and the Senate on majority Republican votes. Majority of Democrats still voted against it. They just, on LBJ's behest, didn't filibuster, so they could co-opt that. This is yet another thing they're trying to co-opt. They made it an official holiday, trying to co-opt yet another Republican thing to block their racist past and history, the slaveholder owner states, Democrats. And it's also like Harriet Tubman. They used to love Donald Trump. They hate him now. They used to love Elon because of the electric car thing. Now they hate him. They used to love Kanye. Now they hate him because Kanye was involved with a movie called Harriet, about Harriet Tubman.
Joe, I think, I was going to say, if I could sneak in real quick, I think I think the problem is of what you're mentioning here, with all these figures, Harriet Tubman and all these people that that fought against some of the rhetoric that you see today. I think it's people are. I don't want to say they're misinformed or they're unintelligent. I'm sure a lot of these people that are, wanting to change things and wanting to go to that avenue, they understand, or maybe some of them understand. I don't want to say all of them understand, but some of them, they know the history with Juneteenth. They know the history with Independence Day. They know all this stuff, but yet they want to manipulate it and they want to brainwash people thinking that, Republicans were the bad ones and the Democrats were the good ones. Well, if I should add this in, Joe, I mean, isn't Juneteenth a Republican holiday? It's not a Democratic holiday. Wasn't slavery ended by Republicans and not Democrats? I keep on hearing that, Republicans were the ones that wanted to keep all this in and that and that. Yes, to an extent, maybe. Yeah. But that's probably one of the reasons why Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Was he not?
Oh, it was. Yeah. John Wilkes Booth, a Southern Democrat, and conspiracy with his Southern racist slaveholder allies, having lost the Civil War, assassinated Lincoln. When Democrats don't get their way, they get dangerous. You prompted a lot of things. But to finish the Harriet thought, George W. Bush, we enacted law and policy that Harriet Tubman, a Republican, would replace racist Andrew Jackson, Democrat, on the $20 bill. And the left has been blocking it ever since. So it doesn't happen because they don't want people to know history. Another thing is we are all ignorant of some things. Ignorant isn't stupid. No one has heard and seen everything, read every book. No one, despite the fact that I occasionally post a meme, I'm not a know-it-all. I just play one on the internet as a laugh, just like the Leonard, the Man, the Myth, the Legend is a joke shirt, not a boast. It's a joke. I joke about these things. Despite that, we are all ignorant unless and until we choose to learn about a subject, which is different than leftist stupid who don't know and don't want to know. And again, why they want to co-opt Juneteenth to fool these people who don't want to know the truth.
Savaged with Michael Gardner on Spotify.
Yeah, but they continue to peddle it. And I mean, but why? Why do they continue? See, my question is, why do they continue to try to change and course out history? Like, why? Like, these people are so, strung up on trying to make points that absolutely they don't make any sense whatsoever. They're like, oh, well, Juneteenth is supposed to be this and that and that. No, it's not. Since when? I mean, come on now. I mean, Juneteenth, guys, however you look at it, how I look at Juneteenth is, honoring people that, establish freedom. That's how I look at it, Joe. I don't look at it as anything else. I don't look at it as, how it should be marked up against Independence Day. Independence Day is supposed to be honored, folks, to honor the entire country, not just a group of people. Because I was talking to somebody here in Florida the other day about this, okay? And they're like, well, Juneteenth is really a holiday. It's really a GOP holiday. They had to label that in, of course. They had to put the GOP Republican Party. It's a GOP Republican Party that only honors white people. Like, what? No, it's a fucking holiday that honors everyone. Oh, so you're telling me, and I was getting fired up, Joe. You're telling me that Independence Day, okay, only honors white people. Okay, let's go there then. If you want to go there, let's go there. Because I really want to hear your comments on this, okay? So you're telling me that also veterans were only white. There was no black veterans. There were no Asian veterans, no Hispanic veterans. No one that served in past conflicts, whether they war or conflicts, for the United States that lost their lives in defending our liberties, freedoms, and everything that goes along with it. You're telling me that there was no other ethnic origin other than white people? I paused. I mean, Joe, this is some of the stupid, idiotic nonsense that you hear from the left constantly.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the difference between thinking people who can be ignorant about something until they choose to learn. And as a former IT guy, we live in an age never before in history that so much factual information can be found. But the left aren't ignorant. They're emotional snowflakes. They're stupid. They don't know. They don't want to know. They just want their emotional, hysterical snowflake unicorn fart fantasy, as I've used before, delusions confirmed. And again, there were blacks that fought in the Revolutionary War. We don't hear about many of them. And look at Frederick Douglass. Look at Carver Washington. Look at Harriet Tubman. Look at Ida B. Wells. You hear about, and this is again the co-opting, civil rights, a Republican thing. The left louds Rosa Parks. How many of you know anything about Ida B. Wells? Do you hear anything about Ida B. Wells, who did what Rosa Parks did, but on a train decades before Rosa Parks did anything? But Ida B. Wells was a Republican abolitionist, a civil rights warrior. So you can't let her be the icon. It's got to be this fake fraud Democrat who did the same thing she did, but decades later. It's co-opting. Like blacks fought in the Revolutionary War. Yeah. Go look at David Barton's historic books. He highlights great American blacks all throughout our history that get, to use the word, whitewashed. And the left are the ones doing it because of identity politics. It's the only way they can keep their whites are all racist and we're a racist nation narrative going. And the other thing is Dinesh D'Souza does a great job in, I think, Death to America and Hillary's America about the big switch lie. You'll hear this from the left. They'll bring up Strom Thurmond. Oh, yeah. Oh, you got us. A racist Democrat that switched party. You got one guy. But they claim there was a big switch. And Dinesh shows all the Democrat racists, thousands of them on a map with a blue dot. And then what was the switch from blue to red? Less than 1%.
Hey, Joe.
It's a lie. Like everything.
It is a lie. Let's talk a little bit about a couple days ago, folks. Opal Lee, she received a I guess a award or a reward, however you want to label it. What was it, a couple days ago? Biden awards the Medal of Freedom to Fort Worth's Opal Lee, the grandmother of Juneteenth. I had to look at my notation to make sure I'm labeling it correct. She's being labeled the grandmother of Juneteenth. Now, she was awarded by this, by the president, President Joe Biden. Thoughts on that, Joe? Because do you think that is a slap in the face? Do you think it's honoring? Or do you think that is just, what's your thoughts on that? I don't know if you've seen that, but that was surfacing at about 3 days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. This is a perfect demonstration of what I said, co-opting. But first, still on the big switch, George Wallace, who almost became president, almost became their nominee again, long after the supposed big switch. George Wallace, who was a segregationist and said segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. He was a Democrat, not a Republican. Robert Byrd, endless parade of Democrats, many part of the KKK that the Democrats founded, that still today Democrats praise. But yeah, Biden doing that is a perfect example of the attempt to co-opt Juneteenth. Exactly like I said about.
But do you think it's they're labeling it the highest civilian award for anyone to receive from the president? Now, I believe that she should receive something, but the way it was presented, Joe, I don't think it was presented the right way.
No, exactly. Again, this is the perfect. Those who do not know history, doomed to repeat it, as the saying goes, right? Yeah. This is exactly the example of them co-opting civil rights and making Rosa Parks the hero rather than Ida B. Wells. So to supplant all the decades of history of Juneteenth being a Republican thing, Biden does this like LBJ did with the Eisenhower Civil Rights Bill. It's all about deflection, distraction, distortion, denial of their past, co-opt what Republicans put in place and claim it as a Democrat thing. The whole Republicans are racist bullshit narrative.
Well, you're going to like this, Joe. According to the Washington Post that just put this out about 2 weeks ago. It's a little old news, guys, but it's still relevant. Washington Post put Juneteenth or Jefferson Davis. Now, Alabama state workers may have to choose between the both. Again, guys, I'm going to label that again. Juneteenth or Jefferson Davis. Like, why would they have to choose between both of them, Joe? Do you understand what they mean by that?
Well,
Juneteenth or Jefferson Davis, yeah.
In this respect, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Juneteenth.
I know what it means, but I was just making sure that you knew, yeah.
Yeah. Again, we are all ignorant of things we just haven't researched yet. I don't doubt there are some in this audience that don't know, don't recall, because we don't teach history in schools. Yeah. Juneteenth, about Republicans freeing the slaves versus Jefferson Davis, who was who? The president of the slaveholder states that fought the Civil War, mainly, yes, states' rights, but the biggest state right they were fighting for was slavery. So, yes, when some people talk today that the Confederate flag really stands for states' rights, I get that, and I don't have a big problem with it. But the ultimate main thing, the state right they were most fighting over, was to be able to enslave others. You can't have one without the other. All these things relate. And that's part of the problem, like with the Tawater attention span. They see a headline and they react emotionally. Well, this, that, and another thing all relate to that, but they don't know, they don't want to know. I'm emotionally tied to this headline, and don't make me think.
Yeah. Well, according to you do have to research. Like I'm researching something here that I'm referring here on the show, guys. I'm going to admit I don't know everything about everything. That's why I like to get Joe's insights on it. But I am reading about this. Yeah. But I am reading about this this Alabama article that was posted by the Washington Post, and this, like I said, folks, it's old news. It was maybe about a couple weeks ago. Well, depending on how you listen to the episode, it's still going to be old news, but it's still relevant. Now, Alabama State Representative Judy Allen, if I got her first name right, Given, and other black lawmakers have lobbied for years to have the state recognize the Juneteenth holiday. So in Alabama, Joe, some lawmakers are not recognizing Juneteenth, and you have to look at the history with Alabama. Alabama, folks, not for nothing, and still to this day, this is facts. Now, I don't like the facts. I don't like even the current history of this, but some parts of Alabama are very, very racist, Joe. They still they still look at the old ways of even slavery. And if you go to certain like country stores, and especially like little diners, I'm not going to lie, guys, they still have those little signs where it says, all white pies. They don't recognize the holiday. And that's unfortunate because, they're still stuck in their old ways of, then, a little bit after colonial America into slavery, they're still stuck in those ways. And it's unfortunate that they weren't able to, come to realization of current society and say, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to honor both ethnicities, white and black. And it's unfortunate that you're seeing that. You know what I mean? Very, very unfortunate. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Let's not whitewash it. Is there still racism and some racists? Absolutely, positively. There's no denying that. I'm not trying to pretend otherwise, but the left is trying to overblow it from like we're still living in the 1950s or the 1800s. It is not like that anymore. And who was it that is even today peddling segregation? The Democrats blockaded blacks from going to school. The Democrats today on the universities are blockading Jews from going to school. The Democrats are the ones peddling black-only dorms and black-only graduate. They are still the racist segregationists. These are facts.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what they say.
Well,
you shall be known by your fruit.
Well, Joe.
Look at their actions, not their words.
Yeah.
Actions,
well, Joe,
I
was going into that reference. Yeah, actions, not words. Yeah. I was going into that reference with, Juneteenth or Jeffrey Davis, right? Jefferson Davis. Excuse me. Did I say Jeffrey? Yeah. Jefferson Davis. Excuse me, guys. Jefferson Davis. You're going to understand what I mean by that, okay? Because in Alabama, there is some confusion and there's some unrecognition towards the reference. Now, under the bill HB 4, Juneteenth, celebrated on June 19th, would become a state holiday, but state employees would be able. And here's what I mean by this, guys, okay? Because I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly because I have the article right in front of me, as you can see, okay? The state employees would be able to choose between recognizing Juneteenth or the birthday of the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis. Jefferson. Why am I saying Jeffrey? Put it on your forehead, Savas. Jefferson Davis. There we go. They would be able to choose between Davis or Juneteenth on June 3rd. State employees, they're giving them that choice, Joe. So, I mean, do you think that's a good choice, or do you think that's a bad choice? Between honoring either or.
Well, again, we had reconciliation following the Civil War. It's that whole statue thing. The left wants to tear down our history. There are statues to Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee was actually anti-slavery, but he fought as the general of the South because he was from the South. So even all the Confederates weren't fighting necessarily for slavery. So I can understand still honoring Jefferson. Oh, and why I think you keep saying Jeffrey, I think Hakeem Jeffries keeps slipping into your mind. So that's why I think you're
I don't know why I say Jeffries. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but here's a fact for you guys. Yeah, here's a fact for you. In Alabama, Joe, they do celebrate the birthday of Davis, which was actually captured by the Union soldiers, guys. If you don't know your history, that was like a warning You know what I mean? And that was, going into the Civil War and everything else. The Union soldiers captured Davis. And I think I understand why the state of Alabama still celebrates Jefferson Davis. There we go. I got it right after 4 or 5 times. But I think I understand why the state of Alabama celebrates him more than ever. They put that as an honor over Juneteenth, and not doing it as disrespect to Juneteenth, but they're doing it in honor of Jefferson Davis, because even down here in the South, guys, I reside down here in the South, right? I don't reside in the Deep South, because when you say Deep South, the Deep South is actually made up of parts of South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and a little bit of Louisiana, right? Florida is somewhat of Florida, maybe the panhandle of Florida, but not right, where I'm from. I live in Central Florida, so it's not really resembling the Deep South. The Deep South, Joe, they still have that huge amount of honor, like I mentioned earlier in the program here towards the middle. They still look at, the old slavery days as, it still existed now to this day. Most places, they look at black people with very, very heavy eyes, and they still honor their Confederate flags. You can see a lot of Confederate flags, even in Georgia. We referenced a part with Stone Mountain. You go over to Stone Mountain State Park, they've waved those Confederate flags with huge amounts of honor, especially all the carvings into that mountain. We had said that, I think, a couple times on the show here with USS Grant, and Stonewall Jackson, right? So, honoring those people, I think, should be honored. But you're going to get rhetoric from certain people, and I've had this discussion with other people, in the past and, recently, with, is that a good thing of honoring people or a bad thing? And they were like, well, unless you want to honor, Confederate socialists or Confederate communists, those are the wording, Joe. Still, the hatred in this country between the North and the South, it still exists. I mean, still, what, 200 some odd years later, it still exists to this day. So, I don't know.
Let me put it to you this way. The contrast between the United States and Russia and China. Yeah. Russia doesn't talk about its negative history. The United States is one of the only places on the planet we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So let me present it to you in a different way. The problem here is the word honoring. Acknowledging is the better word, in my opinion, right? We're not honor them, acknowledge them, because again, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And don't tear down the Jefferson Davis statues. Acknowledge that history and learn from it. But the left wants to erase the history because they are the ones, and I hate to be sounding like I'm putting on a Republican hack hat here, because I attack rhinos and CINOs all the time. You know that. So this isn't just about rah, 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 Republicans are perfect. No, they're not. But you've got to acknowledge that to learn from it. The Democrats want to erase all that history because they are responsible for all the bad history. You hear about the Trail of Tears. Who was that? A Democrat president. Slavery. Who was that? The Democrats. The KKK. Who was that? The Democrats. Segregation. Then and again now. Who was that? They're responsible for all the negative history, so they want to erase it.
Well, here's the thing.
Acknowledge it and learn from it.
Yeah, here's the thing. And as we close up, guys, I want to get a few more things in here. As we discuss this conversation here between the differences of Juneteenth. America's Independence Day, true Independence Day of July 4th. And guys, I use those words very, very heavily and loosely because there is a difference between Juneteenth and Independence Day. And I'm going to give you my final thoughts on that and what I mean by the whole honoring, okay? Because Joe's probably going to be questioning me on why I feel they should be honored. And also, I do agree with Joe, acknowledgement too as well. Guys, I want to say thank you to Progressive Insurance. Better insurance starts with them. 4 out of 5 consumers have rated Progressive to be the best insurance here in America, and rightfully so. They really work with the insurer. They don't overquote, they don't underquote, they leave it right in the middle for you. And by jumping over to Progressive myself, I used to be part of Allstate. Allstate's great, don't get me wrong. But Progressive, oh, man, I'm so happy I'm on Progressive Insurance because I haven't had a problem since. And I don't think you will either. Scan the QR code today, guys, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with Progressive Insurance. And the spokesperson behind that, you can see Flo. Flo is cool. I like Flo. She comes up with some amazing, amazing commercials with that. You'll really be impressed with Progressive Insurance.
Yeah.
One more thing here. I do want to say thank you to Monkey Colt Coffee Company. Boozy coffee is just better. Boozy, right? You're not going to get Uncle Bozy with Monkey Colt. Boozy is awesome. Scan the QR code, guys, and use code SAVAGED for 10% off your order at checkout. And basically tell them that Savage sent you. I think the CEO there, Matt Zions, so hat tip to you, Matt Zions. We had him on the show about a week and a half ago. Yeah, about a week and a half ago. So really, really awesome interview we had with the CEO of Monkey Colt Coffee Company. And I love Monkey Colt, right? It gives me the cult of energy of like how I say it. So back to the show. Joe, I wanna mention why I feel that they should be honored, yet also acknowledged too. With certain figures that I've mentioned, with the Confederacy. Guys, I'm from the North. You would think that, I would honor or acknowledge Union history as a person from the North more than Confederate history. Guys, I honor them both, and I acknowledge them both to the same level of the standard. And the reason why I do that is it's because of our American history. It's part of our American history. I don't look as Union soldiers as better people than Confederate people. I don't look at them as honorable people than Confederate people. I look at them all the same. Okay, I'm a little fired up, so I'm losing my wording a little bit, but you understand. I honor it and I acknowledge it at the same level. Okay, I don't because it's part of our history. You can't, like Joe said, you can't rewrite history, and you can't take the history that existed back then and say, well, it never happened, or it happened this way, or it happened that way. You see that now with the left. You see that with certain independent voters and supporters today. You see that even somewhat on the Republican side. They want to say, well, it didn't happen the way it was taught in school that when you learned. Well, it did, Joe. And you have to understand, it's part of our history. It happened. So acknowledge and honor people that died, because the people up north died for a purpose and a cause. The people down south during the Civil War, they died for a purpose and a point. So they both were they both right? No, we were both wrong on both sides of the aisle. The Union and the Confederate soldiers, they were both literally battling over supremacy. The North was battling over their rights and their views on it and thoughts, just like the South was. So they were both wrong. And there was some slavery thrown into the mix of what led to the Civil War. So, yeah.
Well, again, we are the only nation, really, that talks about our bad parts of history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what makes us indeed the greatest nation on the planet. And the left wants to act like Putin and the communists or Xi and the communists, all other nations that try to bury their history. We don't do that here, although we are doing it lately because the left controls everything. But again, you've got to acknowledge that it happened. A lot of people died for whatever their reasons, and it's okay to acknowledge them, and the only way to learn from it is to acknowledge them and the history and that it happened. But regarding progressive, it's okay to be progressive in your insurance, not your politics.
Yeah.
But seriously, back when I was married, my ex-wife and I, we had motorcycles. Our motorcycles were insured through Progressive. We didn't get great car rates from them, but they were the best motorcycle insurance rates. And yeah, I'm with you. I love, you know me, I always do lame, bad puns. I love the lame, stupid humor Progressive commercials. I love
it too.
Commercials.
Yeah, I love it too. And guys, thank you for joining in. I got to get ready for something else here, but I do want to say thank you. I noticed we've been having some issues with restreaming. I'm gonna be speaking with them about these issues, see what's going on, because it seems to be a lot of glitches on their end. It seems to be glitches on other platforms, including Twitter. I just don't understand what it is. Maybe it's some satellites that they're trying to. Musk's, he has a huge influence with the internet world, so I think it might be that. But guys, I do want to say thank you for joining us on this very, very heated discussion on Juneteenth and Independence Day and some of the culture what we got into with the Civil War in the North and the South, and including the state of Alabama. Some of their differences that they still can't reconcile to this day. It's a deep one in the state of Alabama. I can tell you that it's like another world. They do honor their culture it's the same culture they've been honoring for the last couple hundred years. You can't really get upset with that. It's culture. Culture's culture. But I hope people can see around, all that heated rhetoric and come together, because especially in today's times, we need to unite more than ever because of the ultimate political divide that you see in this nation. Guys, I'm Savage. This was Jokester Joe, known as Joseph M. Leonard.
Yeah. One last thing to bolster
real quick, Joe, because we got to wrap it up.
Yeah. To bolster your point, I think Robert E. Lee is the best example. I honor him because, again, he was anti-slavery, but yet, like you said, he was of the South, so he fought for the South, not for slavery, but because he was of and from the South and wanted to help serve his people. He was conflicted.
Absolutely.
He was anti-slavery, but yet fought on the side of the South. So he is the perfect example of what you're saying. And to be able to learn from that, it was not only about slavery to some of them, like a Robert E. Lee. I am willing to honor.
Yeah. And again, guys, like I said, a very heated discussion today, but a discussion that needed to be addressed because a lot of people, they get misinformed about the entire concept with Juneteenth and Independence Day. Guys, thanks very much for dropping by. And like I say at the end, be savage, guys, not average. Because, being savage and not average, you can make a difference out there. I know it's kind of quirky and a little lame, but hey, it works for me, and I hope it can work for you. Till next time, guys. See you later.